Hi, my name is Monique Musiel, and I'm the author of An Understanding Beyond, which can be read on Amazon. There are a few sample chapters that you can check out. And so today I am adding another YouTube video for people. And so let's proceed. Valentine's Day is in a couple of days, so I thought it would be clever to write something about love. So, love is mentioned 714 times in the Bible. In 1 Peter 4:8 it states, "Above all, love one another deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins." How about that? In Matthew 22:39, if the NIV, Jesus suggests, "Love your neighbor as yourself." I like this definition of God's love. And you may already be familiar with this because it's very famous, but hold on for further elaboration on these. In the NLT Corinthians version 13, 4 through 7, love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. Then in that same row of Corinthians quotes, 13 says, "Three things will last forever: faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love." Conversely, the lack of caring love about our fellow man is at the base of all problems in the world. Because if people cared about one another, oppression would cease. Definition of oppression: prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. Unfortunately, there's a lot of that going on now. This is 2024 as I'm recording this. By unreasonable laws and justice being expensive to get, if you don't have money, you don't get justice. Painful real estate taxes. Here in Chicago, my neighbors around here, a lot of people are paying $7,000 to $10,000 a year, which is unreal because you could pay for a house all your life and then have to pay all that money still. That's insane, okay? I wish I could do something about it. I've been wanting to express this for a while, and when we talk about not caring about our fellow man, which is what some of these lawmakers are doing, it's just outrageous, okay? Painful, okay, by companies, also by companies and corporations that are in control, by setting prices that are way too high, such that people can scarcely survive. Credit cards that are charging more than loan sharks used to. Look at costs of medications and medical care. They blame the research for the meds, expenses, of which some were found by accident. These examples are mostly the result of greed, not need. I heard years ago that 5% of the world's population owns 95% of the world. No wonder there's poverty and starvation. With such an unfair monetary balance, we actually have enough food to feed everyone, but it doesn't get to all of them all over the world. Hate, which is the opposite of love, will often result in damage and destruction, like wars, violence, murder, slander. It says that words can cut like a sword. they can do a lot of harm, or other decadent acts. We can choose to give in to either, but there is a price for our bitterness. We harm ourselves mostly more so than the other person that this is aimed at. Because in the process, it will kill our decency and eats us up inside. So, do we harbor it or let it go? By forgiving others and purging ourselves of it. Now, on a different phase of talking about not enough love or the lack of it, young people especially, be careful. Don't be so naive to think that just because someone desires you, they're automatically in love. Take a good look at your lover. Do they show they care by their actions? By comforting you when you're down, for example? Do they take care of you when you're sick? For example, like seeing to it that you get something to eat. Or are signs of care and true friendship absent? Does she ever express that they love you? Decent human beings will speak their intentions and stand by them. Some verbal contracts are even legally binding, especially if there are witnesses. That's why God expects us to speak confirmation that we are really sincere. By the way, you can tell if someone is lying. Here's a little tip, okay? When they can't look straight at you, they can't meet your eyes by hiding theirs with a hand or turning away, then you can start wondering if they're real, for real, okay? Don't fall into relationships that are only based on sex. There has to be so much more than that, or someone's going to get hurt. If one has much stronger feelings than the other, for example, or there are obvious signs of serious relational problems already early in the relationship, that is why God warns against engaging in sex without a true commitment. When people don't make sure that this is in place, he's not trying to, ruin our fun or anything like that. Babies are born into an instant broken family in a broken world. Don't think for a moment that children are not harmed by this, not to mention what you yourself may suffer. So, like I said, it's not because God's a killjoy. He's trying to protect us. Bible stands for B, basic instructions. One letter at a time. Basic instructions before leaving Earth. Bible. While doing some research on love, and since I'm posting this just a couple of days before Valentine's Day, I found some information on where this love holiday of Valentine's originated from. I thought it might be interesting, as many people aren't really sure. Saint Valentine was a priest of Rome and or former bishop in central Italy. While under house arrest of Judge Asterius and discussing his faith with him, Valentinos, the Latin version of his name, was discussing the validity of Jesus. The judge put Valentinos to the test and brought to him the judge's adopted blind daughter. If Valentinus would succeed in restoring the girl's sight, Asterius the judge would do whatever he asked. Valentinos, praying to God, laid his hands on her eyes and the child's vision was restored. This tells me that he was a genuine holy person, by the way. Immediately humbled, the judge asked Valentinus what he should do. Valentinus replied that all the idols around the judge's house should be broken. And false idols, that was really common in the past, that people would worship those. And, and that the judge should fast for 3 days and then undergo a Christian sacrament of baptism. The judge obeyed, and as a result of his fasting and prayer, freed all the Christian inmates under his authority. There was a lot of persecution back then of Christians, so this was a good thing, that he freed them. The judge, his family, and his 44-member household of adult family members and servants were all baptized after that. By continuing to preach about Jesus, Valentinus was later arrested again, and this time taken directly to the Emperor of Rome, Claudius Gothicus, number 2. Not a judge this time all the way up to the emperor, who initially took a liking to him until Valentinus tried to convince Claudius to embrace Christianity. Claudius refused and condemned Valentinus to death, commanding that Valentinus either renounce his faith or he would be beaten with clubs and beheaded. Valentinus refused and was executed on February 14th of 269. This happened amidst the persecution of Christians in the Roman Empire, when Christians were fed to lions. Oftentimes if people were trying to do this, it was because they felt that they had like a holy mission to protect from a false prophet, I suppose. They should have known he's genuine after he performed a miracle. Well, the other judge saw that. Okay. Before his execution, Saint Valentine wrote a note to Asterius' daughter. Actually, Saint Valentinus wrote a note to Asterius' daughter, whose blindness he had miraculously cured, signed, "From your Valentine," which is said to have inspired today's romantic notes and letters. However, even though evil ended this obviously holy person's life on earth, this forwarded God's kingdom greatly, and February 14th became a worldwide day of celebrating love, which is actually what God and Jesus are about. Evil even tried to tarnish this day with the St. Valentine's Day massacre in 1929, where 7 men were shot up with machine guns. But this also failed to ruin this special day, putting that dark mark on that date. Didn't stop anything. In spite of all Satan's hateful attempts to prevent or destroy people's faith in God and Jesus, be assured we will definitely win in the end. Thanks for listening. Again, I'm Monique Musiel, author of An Understanding Beyond. Hope you have a happy Valentine's Day. Thanks.